Now, one thing I can say with absolute certainty is that we humans crave connection. Whether it's with other people, our pets, or even nature, the desire to connect is very much part of our innate wiring. So how ironic it is that the very technologies we've created for ourselves to ostensibly connect us in ways we've never imagined end up creating a society of highly interactive souls who feel the loss of connection more deeply than ever before. So, what is this thing called connection that everyone craves yet seems to have such a hard time achieving? Well, here's the distinction I use in my work and research into intimate human behavior. Connection is an unimpeded and unconditional sharing from the heart between two human beings. Now, obviously, this can apply to life partners, friends, family, co-workers, and even strangers. And it represents more of a continuum rather than an either-or situation. Ideally, the deepest form of connection happens with your life partner. Ideal, but unfortunately, far too often, this is anything but the case. Now, think about this for a moment. What is required for two people to have an unimpeded and unconditional sharing from their hearts? Well, the first thing that springs to mind is a willingness to have a heart that is open, one where most of the armor and barriers we erect to otherwise protect ourselves are taken down. This also implies a willingness to be vulnerable, which simply means the choice to emotionally feel everything, not just those things that make us feel good. And finally, a willingness to be authentic in the way we show up without pretense and in our communications. When any two people are open-hearted, vulnerable, and authentic with each other, deep connection is inevitable. Every human being, whether consciously aware of it or not, seeks to connect with others in this way. But there's a price to pay for this genuine sense of connection, isn't there? And that price is choosing to connect in the face of the inevitable fears that arise from being vulnerable, authentic, and open-hearted with another. Fears that are typically centered around judgment, rejection, or abandonment, which represent the very antithesis of connection. Unfortunately, this is a price that far too few are willing to pay, which means that most people aren't willing to genuinely connect with others out of fear that they won't be connected. Think about how truly insane that sounds. And this is where the perfect storm of social media comes to play. It provides a false connection with untold others with none of the risk associated with real human connection. Think of it as the crystal meth for the heart. It gives you a big initial hit of feel-good connection, only to come crashing down and crave it more than ever. And within this frenzied spiral of seeking meaning, self-importance, and connection via an app or social media site, we only become more blind to what it really takes to connect with others. Now, I'm not saying social media is bad. It's just that when it's used as a sterile standby for real human connection, it will never, ever serve us. It lulls us into thinking we are in the game of life. Instead, we have become mere pawns to those seeking to profit from providing ever more interesting and engaging ways to interact with each other within the safe bubble of the click or swipe. The only problem is, as many have learned the hard way, this is anything but a safe bubble. Anytime you post something to a social media site, deep down inside, you are hoping that your contribution to the social graph will at least be acknowledged, and God forbid, not panned or worse, trolled. And let's not forget the fact that any time you look at someone else's post, there may be a part of you that is secretly comparing yourself to them, which is always a zero-sum game. Is it any wonder why so many people are stressed out, frazzled, and even depressed from using social media? Now, there is a way out of this quagmire of disconnection, and yes, it does require discipline. Sorry, most worthwhile things in life do. Think of the following as your 3-step program back to really connecting with other human beings. And step one is acknowledge the problem. Acknowledge the fact that social media, smartphones, email, and so on are addictive and provide a false sense of connection. This also means that when you intend to really connect with someone, insist that both of you turn off your phones and avoid other distractions. Next is practice presence. This simply means when you are with someone, either in person or over the phone, really be with that person. Allow no distractions, agendas, or monkey mind chatter to interfere. Think of it as a calm awareness, intently observing and receiving the other. And then finally, practice feeling connection. True human connection can actually be felt in your body. In most cases, a warm feeling around the chest and heart region. As you practice what it's like to be vulnerable, authentic, and open-hearted, pay attention to how your body feels. It'll tell you if you're making progress or not. Once you experience this and get better at making it happen consistently, I assure you, you will never want to go back to its false cousin. So, who do you practice with? Well, I'd start with your significant other first and foremost, of course. Then gradually work your way through friends, family, and eventually, even strangers. You will be amazed at how differently the world will appear when you do. When you make this commitment to be and feel truly connected, you will show up entirely differently to those around you. And you will find that the rest of the world starts showing up differently for you as well. Connection is an inside job that always starts with you, then spreads out to all those with whom you had the courage to connect. And it can be very viral. This is really the next revolution in social media that requires no devices or media whatsoever.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Extraordinary Intimacy with Michael J. Russell. For all speaking, media interviews, and workshop inquiries, go to michaelrusselllive.com. For private intimacy coaching, send an email to coaching@michaelrusselllive.com.